On September of 2023, the world was going to change because alien mummies were presented in front of the Mexican Congress, and the whole world was going to finally be able to see real, hard, cold evidence of alien beings on this planet. And a group of people with scientists and journalists and politicians presented in front of the Mexican Congress, in front of the whole world, these findings that were going to change human history and our interpretation of alien life. And yes, I'm gonna tell you the truth about those mummies. And long story short, yes, they were fake. They were made, handmade. And it's incredible how this story was able to go so far when these mummies had already been in front of a government and they were already proven to be false. Hi, my name is Natalie and I cover cases from Latin America ranging from true crime, urban legends, cryptids, internet mysteries, rabbit holes, and more. Like and comment for support and enjoy the video. So I'm just gonna tell you the story about these mummies and where the hell they came from, who thought it was a good idea. Like, I honestly cannot believe how these people decided to present these things in front of the government and then like not expect people to make fun of them. Like, how can they be so delusional? I did a little bit of research and discovered that these mummies had already been presented in front of the Ministry of Culture of Peru. And yeah, the people who made these mummies and found these mummies are already in jail, by the way. It all started back in 2016, actually, when a man named Leandro Rivera, also known as Mario, and I'm gonna refer to him as Mario, found these mummies just out of curiosity for, whatever reason. And he said that he found the mummies in a mine while he was digging there, and that he started to tell his friends and journalists and bragging everywhere about finding alien mummies because they were tiny, their bodies were full, complete bodies, and they only had 3 fingers on each hand and each foot. And this got the attention of 2 of our main characters. One of them is Jaime Maussan, which you might have heard of. He was the one who presented the mummies in front of the Mexican Congress. So Jaime Maussan is a Mexican journalist who has dedicated over 30 years of his life to study the paranormal, more specifically UFOs. His reputation in Mexico cannot get any worse, honestly. No one believes him at all. Most of his videos, like evidence that he has presented, is just fake or just taken from the internet. Other ufologists, like other people who dedicate their lives to investigate this type of things, absolutely hate him. And he has made so many claims before of having real, scientifically proven evidence that was gonna take the world by a storm, and then it just turns out to be a scam or be the most like grainy video known to humankind. And he always uses pseudoscience to prove all of his claims. Another person that was also attracted to the alien mummies was a French researcher and explorer named Thierry Jamin. And he's also the founder of the institute named INCARI, that is also called the Peruvian Institute of Historical Studies and Archaeological Investigations. And he took the name of INCARI from a famous legend of the Inca, and which tells a story that when the Spanish were about to execute the last ruler of the Inca people, he vowed that he would come back on one day to avenge his death. And that's the legend of Incari, the last ruler of the Inca people, and this French dude decided to name his institute after that. From what I've read, a lot of people describe him, Jaman, as being like a Indiana Jones wannabe, just feeling really important, being in Peru, trying to find lost cities and lost civilizations. According to his website, the website of his institute, he has made multiple discoveries in the Amazon forest and in various sites in Peru of lost cities and geoglyphs. Okay. And he has been called out multiple times, pretending to be an archaeologist and doing excavations in historical places without the needed permissions and licenses from the Peruvian government. Even a person from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in France said, while talking to the Peru ambassador in Paris, that he, Jaman, did not have any scientific license, and he was considered a risk to Peru's cultural heritage and the French Peruvian archaeological relationships. So no one likes him, no one believes him, okay? But him and Maussan were the first ones to come to Peru to see these alien mummies. So, in case you don't know, Peru has very strict laws about who and how these archaeological expeditions and studies can be done. Okay, not anyone can just go and start digging for mummies or for remains or nothing. Okay, the website of the Jamans Institute in Cari has a whole page dedicated to these laws, like just describing which laws they are abiding. But at the very end of that page, it says that, oh, we wish all of our expeditions could follow these guidelines, but that is not possible, sadly. So going back to the story. Once the news of the alien mummies was out, these two men, Maussan and Germain, were immediately interested. And they had exclusive access to these mummies thanks to Mario. Mario just was like, here, there they are. Touch them, grab them, play with them, do whatever you want with them. And I'm gonna call this whole team the alien team, okay, in the future. The Ministry of Culture of Peru denounced these findings as illegal and false, and they filed reports to the police against Mario for defamating and illegally excavating these archaeological sites. He had no permissions. But then is when this other man called Armando Villanueva, who was an ex-congressist of Peru, became interested and filed an appeal declaring that those findings were of cultural and historical interest, basically protecting Mario, protecting the mummies from being confiscated. And, this appeal was rejected, but it did manage to get them enough time and request a conference in front of the Congress. In Peru, basically, any citizen can request a meeting with the Congress if there is enough reason to, right? So the alien team arranged one of those meetings, and guess what? No person from the Congress, except, Villanueva, that man who was involved, attended. They did not care. And neither did anyone from the Ministry of Culture, okay? Because they knew those mummies were illegal, probably manipulated, and this was like not serious at all. They had not followed any protocol. They were not gonna go and entertain these fools. And they claim that these mummies, these alien mummies, have been obtained through illegal means, aka huaqueo. Huaqueo basically means to steal from archaeological places. So places like tombs or ruins, and search for ancient artifacts, mummies, or antiques with the intention of selling them through the black market. It's basically like a Tomb Raider, okay? They use destructive means to get these items. They are sold to people all around the world that collect such items, and it is common to even find workshops dedicated to manufacture ancient artifacts using broken pieces of real artifacts or textile or mummies, and fabricating even more from those pieces. It used to be a huge problem for Peru, but they have been becoming more and more strict to stop these practices and recover all of these, history pieces that have been sold in the black market. So the Ministry of Culture was sure that these mummies had been taken out illegally and were probably manipulated by these types of workshops, okay? More people joined the alien team. More people were there at the conference, like Joyce Mantilla, who is a Peruvian journalist that most likely was the one who arranged this whole operation. Like, most likely was one of those first people that learned about Mario and his alien mummies and started contacting Maussan and Jamin and these other people to try to arrange this huge news, right? There was even, oh my god, there was even a Russian dentist who pretended to know a lot about anatomy. Like he was just there to tell people how these alien bones were shaped because he was a dentist. And then they also had a Colombian engineer who pretended to know about genetics just because they took one class one summer during their studies. And that woman was sitting there pretending to know about genetics to prove that this alien was not a human, basically. So imagine these people are sitting in front of the media, in front of news reporters, in front of reporters, and they talked for hours about how these mummies were aliens. They claimed that through a DNA testing, they had found that the mummies had only 36% human DNA. So obviously, the rest was alien DNA. Some of the other proofs that they gave, that they also presented at the Mexican Congress, it's that apparently these mummies are indeed between 800 years old and over 1,000 years old. That they were probably created between the years of 500 BC and 500 AD. So they were saying that these mummies were not found at a crash site of a UFO or something. They were mummified, okay? And they were placed in that mine. And they said that the reason why these mummies are so well preserved is because they were found inside a diatomaceous mine. So diatomaceous is a type of rock made from fossilized remains of diatoms, which are a type of microalgae, and it is used in many things like polished metals, is used in toothpaste, insecticide, to absorb liquids, and so many more things. Basically, this little like white dirt absorbs all kinds of moisture and doesn't let fungi or this type of other like bacteria to grow. It is really good against bugs because it dries them completely. So they say that these mummies, because they were inside a mine, like literally buried in this type of dirt, they were completely petrified basically and conserved so perfectly that they still had all of their organs, and that they found over 20 mummies, but the ones that you see, like those pictures, are the only ones that are like complete bodies, but they found over 20 mummies, and that 3 of those 20 still had eggs inside. 3 eggs you can see on the x-rays. 3 intact alien eggs inside one of these mummies. They also found another mummy who is like full size. He's like 170 or something, which are 5'7", okay? And the other mummies are just like 2 feet tall, 60 centimeters. And they said that the DNA did not match with any known species on the planet. Of course, we know that a few years before, when they presented these mummies in front of the Peruvian Congress, the mummies were 36% human, but now they're saying that no, they're actually, their DNA doesn't match with anything on this planet. After this, ridiculous news became so much more popular, and I'm talking back then in Peru, okay? Not even talking about how viral the news became, in 2023. But back then, real archaeologists decided to step up and try to analyze what the hell were these mummies. And they basically discovered that these mummies were indeed manufactured, that they had been made mainly from like real mummies of like babies and animals. The Incas had the tradition of always mummifying their loved ones, and also mummifying animals to accompany them. And so they will mummify like llamas, dogs, cats, all kinds of domestic animals to keep company to the loved ones. So these people found pieces of these mummified dogs probably, and started to cut and carve their skulls to give them this alien look. They also used bones of real mummified like babies or children and rearranged them, combined with some more animal bones, to look alien, to basically create these fake alien bodies. In the carbon-14 test that these mummies were subjected to, they found the traces of paper, like paper from nowadays. So now it was not a piece of paper from 1,000 years ago, okay? It was modern paper and modern glue that they used to put these mummies together. They also say that the big mummy, the one that is full size, was a real mummy that they mutilated, cut fingers from the mummy, shaved its bones, shaved its head, and added extra bones to its fingers to make them look longer. And that all those x-rays about the internal organs and the eggs had been basically just made, just photoshopped. They were not real. In 2022, Mario was sentenced to 4 years in prison because of destroying cultural heritage and excavating in archaeological sites without a license. But when the Ministry of Culture tried to get a hold of the mummies, they were no longer in Mario's possession, but they were in the National University San Luis Gonzaga de Inca. So the university sided with the alien team and claimed that the mummies were real. So they were basically decided to house the mummies inside the university. And before that, the mummies were in the Institute of Inquiry. So the government tried multiple times to confiscate the mummies, but these people kept trying to defend them, trying to not let them take them, and even Maussan tweeted that the government is trying to hide these real mummies from the people, trying to rewrite history, erase these findings from everyone's memory. Mario also claimed that all these people are doing is taking revenge and persecuting people who defy what the history timeline is, and they're basically just trying to shut their claims down, just say that the mummies were fake because they don't want people to know that they were actually aliens, and because they don't want people to know that human history is different from what we thought it was, right? Those are their arguments. And I have no idea how, even when the person who found the mummies is in jail, back in 2022, in 2023, they dare to go in front of the Mexican Congress and show these mummies again. And when I was watching the slides and the information that they had changed a lot of information. They had scrapped things off, changed the dates, like trying to lie all over again and again, pretend like these mummies are real. How was this allowed? I will never understand. Apparently NASA was interested. They even involved some very prestigious universities from Mexico to try to make their claims sound more real. But when you see those mummies, you know that they're not real. Just by looking at them, you didn't need all this information to know that they were not real. But I just find it really strange how these people can claim that they are and go so far to just get attention, to just get money, from selling interviews and articles. Their reputation is gonna be on the ground. It's gonna be horrible after this. Even when they were not liked before, this Jermaine and Maussan, they were not liked before. Everybody hated them. Now people are just gonna make fun of them, that they're not gonna be taken serious ever again in their lives. But somehow they still defend the mummies, and they still say that this is all a conspiracy and the government is hiding the real research, or I don't even know. Oh, and in case you want to watch a full documentary from their perspective, you can find it on Gaia, which is basically like an esoteric Netflix that has a bunch of that type of esoteric UFO paranormal documentaries and TV shows. And you can find it there. You can watch the full documentary from their perspective. And they were some of the biggest sponsors for all the illegal testing and research. So this is all I have for now. I just wanted to revisit these little mummies because they were so funky, so ugly. And I remember watching some more interviews of Jaime Maussan defending them and seeing he said something like, why would I step in front of Congress and journalists from all over the world to make a fool of myself. I only did it because I have proof that those mummies are real. Like, he was still defending it with his whole heart, and I guess it's just what he does, you know? It's just bizarre, and I wanted to do more research, try to find how and where these mummies were found, and, well, yeah, turns out they were handmade, false, made in illegal workshops that destroy archaeological sites and cultural heritage. So hope that you liked this video. A little short, quicker than usual. See you next time. Bye.